In this part we are gonna add some textures to the reversed tiles, and then we will add some overall edge damage to all the tiles. I will start with the reversed tiles. So some of these tiles, while are being damaged, will fall down reversed, so we have to create a backface texture for them. I will create some space. And I will use the pattern that we created at the mortar. The squares will represent the backface texture of the tiles, and these lines will represent the mortar that has been glued to the tiles. I want to point out that not all of the tiles will have this texture, because these tiles which are still glued to the ground can't have this texture. Neither these which have these nice organic shapes, because even if they broke, they remained in the same position and haven't flipped around. The only tiles that will have the backface textures will be these in-between tiles, these, and some tiles from the first layer of the top pieces. So some of these pieces. There is no reason for the second layer of top pieces to have backface textures, because we have just a couple of pieces there. So I will start with a blend node. Let's set the opacity to 0.02. Then let's go back to this histogram range from these patterns, and I will drag a connection from this. I want to do two things here. One is to invert this texture, because this texture should be the reverse of the mortar texture. And then I want to add a transform node to give this texture a different seed. Because right now the pattern exactly matches the underlying mortar pattern, except it is an inverted version of it. First I will invert this. You can see that these patterns are still matching. So I will have a transform node here. And I will move this. Now all we need to do is to create a mask and tell this blend node that we want this texture to only appear on certain pieces, in between the tiles and on the layer 1 of the top pieces. I will start with the top pieces. So I will make some more space here, and I will drag a line from the layer 1 of top pieces. And I will bring in a blend here. And what I want to do here is to remove some of these pieces, because I don't want to have the texture on all of them. So first I will flood fill these pieces to give them some grayscale values. I have this flood fill to random grayscale, so I will drag a connection from here. Let's arrange in these lines, and I will choose multiply here. Now I will have a histogram select. Range to 0.2 and the contrast all the way up. And now we got rid of some of these top pieces. I will connect this to the opacity. And this is what we get so far. Now I want to add this texture on some of these in-between tiles. For that I need a mask of all these pieces. So I will go back here where we scattered them, and I will drag a connection from the first shape splatter, here from the splatter data 1. Let's add a dot and drag this forward. Another dot here. And I will bring in a shape splatter to mask. This node will take my scatter pieces from the shape splatter and give me a binary mask. I want to point out that right now we are not getting all the scatter pieces on this mask. And that is because if I go back, you can see that we have two inputs here at the shape splatter, pattern 1 and pattern 2. And here at the shape splatter to mask, I have this pattern ID and range to 1, and if I increase this to 2, I get to have all the scatter pieces on this mask. Right now I will reverse this to 1, because I don't want all of these pieces to be covered by the backface texture. Now let's blend this mask with the top pieces. I will have a blend node here, blending mode to max, and if I take a closer look here, I can see that I get this texture on the ground also. And in order to remove this, I need a mask which includes all the tiles that we have so far. And I will multiply that on top of the mask, so we make sure that we get the texture only where we have tiles. I can't include the mask of all tiles which you have here because this mask does not include these scatter pieces. If you remember well, we made the mask of all tiles before we scattered these top pieces. So what I can do here is to go here before the hide blend. I will delete these levels. And I will drag a connection from here. And I need to blend this on top of our mask. So I will have a blend here. And for the blending mode, I'm gonna choose subtract. Sorry, I will use multiply. And I will bypass this so you can see what happened here. So this is after we added the blend and this was before. There is one more problem here, and that is that I get some of these textures on the tiles. So I will go back here to these scatter pieces and I need a blend node here. And I will subtract this mask of all tiles. So I need a dot here somewhere. And I will choose subtract. So you can see here that we get rid of these unwanted tiles. Now I will frame this and call it Backface texture. Let's move forward and create some edge damage for the tiles. I will add in a slope blur here. And here at the slope I will use a purling noise that we made at the mortar. I will drag a connection from this save transform, which has as input the purling noise. I think I will move this up. Let's add a comment here and call it Perlin noise. Here at the properties I need 32 samples. Mode to min, and I will have an intensity of 0.025. And this is what we get. Now I want this damage to appear more on the top areas of the tiles. For this I will have a blend node here. I will move this up. And I'm gonna blend this back with the original. And let's set the opacity to 0.3. And we got some nice edge damage. The last thing I want to do here is to add in the grout. The reason I haven't added it up to now was that I didn't want the damage to affect the grout. So let's add it in. I will have a blend. Let's choose add for the blending mode and the opacity to 0.05. And I will connect the grout here. And this is what you get. And with this we finish the height map. All I want to do here is to frame these. I will call this edge damage. And this one grout. In the next part we are gonna start working on the base color.